Hey, you've summoned a lesser maker. Today, we're gonna go over this Mordheim board that I designed a year ago, and I've learned a lot since then. So we're gonna completely redesign it from scratch. I'm gonna get pretty in-depth my design philosophies here. So if you're not interested in that, you can check the timestamp below and skip forward to that. We're back to just the foundations at the moment. My biggest issue is this center part of the board was just too flat. Everything kind of funneled into the middle and didn't lead anywhere. I would like to add a bit more choice and elevation. Right now there's this foundation and there's only one way up. So that's an issue. If you wanted to get from one side to the other, it was basically just a straight path, which wasn't a very smart choice. So with one of my other boards, so this board has a center foundation and bridges everywhere leading into the middle. So at any point you can get to the middle really fast, or you could go around the middle. Now with this board, the elevation choice is on the road and not around the road. It is literally the road that you get to choose whether you're going up or you're taking the side streets. This bridge does a lot for the amount of choice you have. Do you go around it? Do you go through it? Do you take the side skirts? And this board never gets old. I've played on this one the most because it's the oldest. Once I built this board, I realized how much of a problem the first board was. All right, so 6 months ago, I was talking to my friend Bash and Egg on Instagram, and he's a member of our Discord, and he's making a Goblin Undead warband, and I really love the idea of this, and he's been kit bashing models, and they look really great. He needed a goblin skull sculpted for him, so we, over a couple hours, I threw this together, and we kind of decided we had to kind of design this from scratch because there's not that much art on what a goblin skull looks like. So this was a really fun project. Getting back to the board here, in return, he gave me this barrack sketch. And I really love all these details he put in here. The roof line is perfect. The Mordheim emblem above it is really great. And so basically this tower is gonna stay exactly the same. I can't use this exactly because it's kind of fitting a square peg in a round hole. It doesn't solve the problem I have with the board exactly. So let me show you the problem of this board so that I can show you how I solve it, and hopefully this will help you design your own Mordheim board and kind of apply some of this knowledge. This is the problem. I have, there's just not that much space for a ruin, or we're gonna have to figure this out today. I'm kind of thinking it would be awesome to kind of play on that foundations a bit and have an elevation here with a giant tavern in this section, reaching over the street and then ending here. I think that would be really cool because I'd be able to kind of connect these two sections. My first thought was having like a really bulky building here to kind of fit this area. This is too bulky. And I thought if we had this foundation, having arches here, kind of bridging this gap might be pretty cool. So I did some more sketching and I landed on this. So I went to Universal Studios with Harry Potter World, Hogsmeade, and I really loved the design and interior for the three broomsticks. And I would, like, as I was there, I just thought, I need to build this. And it's a really wide open interior with some scaffolding in the roof area. And so we're gonna build a tavern today that bridges this gap. When designing a building, I always find it easier to design the unruined version. So it's just much easier to cut things away, making sure my hand can fit places rather than fitting myself in a hole that I can't get out of. So I'm gonna start with the foundation, and we can kind of measure how far this arch needs to be. Once we get this foundation started out, then we can build off this massive tavern here.
So I'm going to start off with the foundation. I went ahead and glued that down, and I'm using pink XPS foam with this and a handheld hot wire. I printed out my template that you can grab for free on the Patreon, and then I laid a handsaw flat on the XPS foam and just trimmed off the top of some of this foundations. I can add more room for this giant tavern. Following the template I mentioned earlier, I went ahead and cut out the bottom level for one of these tower sections, and I got a texture roller out to do some of the stonework. I kind of wanted to mention that I've really changed my approach when it comes to doing stonework. The texture roller and some paintbrush handles that I've crimped the edges to be brick shaped has really changed the way that I do my stonework, and it's definitely leveled it up. You're going to be seeing that a lot in this episode. I grabbed a 3D printed window that I designed and is also free on the Patreon. I think it's in the building accessories STL pack that you can download for free. And the way I do that is I just press the window into the foam core. It makes an indent, and then I slightly cut outside that indent and just slide it right in. And then I hot glue it in. I cut out some buttresses to kind of mimic some architectural features that I think will suggest that this building is pretty structurally sound. And then I use the texture roller again on all the edges and freshly cut edges to make sure that the texture is consistent throughout. Once I got this physically made, I decided to make the bottom base wider, so it's not exactly like the template, but it is a good reference point, and the interior probably would need more space for miniatures to stand inside, so I just went ahead and changed that real quick. I decided with this smaller bay window that I would add the timber trims that are typical for Tudor houses, and for the bigger one I wanted to do like shiplap paneling, and I feel like the contrast between these two textures are going to be really great for this piece. Whenever I build something, I always leave it open for me to reuse items that I've quote unquote finished, because I sawed off this building from this board. For me, it's fair game to reuse. I think it might be a good reference for you if you're first starting out, because I built this one on a live stream. So I'll link this one in the cards. So included in that initial template was this bridge shape. I had to kind of work this bridge around the foundation, and I plan to build the wall structure around this as well. So, and it had to be incorporated into the building. So this had a lot of dimensions that need to be kind of worked out. So it was best to kind of do this in paper, and then I cut it out with my hot wire cutter and assembled it. Even after all that template work, I was thinking about it at my shift, and I had to make it a little thinner, and I also added a foundation under the whole building so that it would fit a little better like underneath the bay window. So this took a lot of finessing, but in the end, I was really happy with the result. After that, I just got my brick punches that I've made out of paint handles, and I just punched in all the brickwork. This really has been a game changer as far as getting this stuff done. It looks really good when painted too, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Put some wood planks on this bridge, and I'm not quite sure if I'm going to leave this an uncovered bridge or make it a covered bridge. If you have an idea or a suggestion, feel free to leave it in the comments or show me a sketch on the Discord or whatever. I'm still kind of figuring that part out. As far as the other side, I was thinking about putting a tower there. I thought it would be really cool to have a staircase on one side at least. So I just kind of whipped it up real quick. I really just improvised this. I was really happy with how this thing connected and looked. I might add a building to the other side, but I'm still kind of trying to figure that out. I went ahead and punched in the stonework anyway, and I think I'm gonna end up having to paint this in the next episode because I was really running out of time, a lot of graduations to go to. So this week has been pretty hectic. As I finish punching these bricks, I'd like to thank my Patreon members real quick. So thank you to Leroy, Fetter, Caracal, Old School FRP, Burning Heart Custom Creations, James, Anders, Hanover, Grim Drunk, Draborius, Andy, Corey, Mike, Nick, The Lich's Laboratory, Kaboob, The Pessimist, Seb, Lori, Nunu, Raf, Jonathan, Fabio Soroso, Doom Chupacabra, Sinister Grackle, Silver Fishgen, and C.J. I really appreciate your guys' support. A couple weeks ago, I kind of stumbled across an idea of using dollar store like animal toys to make gargoyles for my Mordheim builds. So I got some zoo animals this time, and I cut off all the heads, and I just started kind of green stuffing them together, and I'm gluing them onto like different types of timbers and tombstones and a lot of other things, and just to kind of add a bit of a variety. And while I was at it, I just kind of thought it might be a good idea to try out casting these, and so I made another mold with some Silanot. And this is a microwavable silicon. So if you mess up the mold, you can just cut it up, put it back into the bottle and re-microwave it, and it's still usable. So I was kind of excited about that, and hopefully I can get some good casts and then I can set them aside. So next time, like if this mold wears down, I can make a new cast and stuff. So this was a really fun experiment, and so far so good. I really need to try casting these, using it. I'm really looking forward to that. Now it's finally time to get some detailing done. So for these timbers, what I did is I got a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch square balsa wood dowels, and I cut them in half lengthwise, and it makes a really good like hewn timber texture, and I use that for all the wooden beams on this build. After that, most of this is pretty self-explanatory. If this stuff isn't obvious, feel free to ask any question in the comments. I answer every single one. While you're at it, making a comment makes a huge difference on how well a video performs. So make sure you like and subscribe as well. We just hit 3,000 subscribers, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you so much for following along every week. So I did a black Mod Podge base coat for this, and lately I've been kind of coming around to doing this more. I think it mostly has to do with this XPS foam material that I'm using is a little more porous than I've seen. I'm trying something a little different this time. I wanted to do like a creamy wash and then kind of build up into a bit of a darker grayish brown. I tried it out on my clock tower 2 weeks ago and it looks really, really good. So to kind of try it again, I tried to make it a little better with these cream washes, like splotching at places, and I really like how this brickwork looks. I think it looks more realistic than some of my other paint jobs, so this is definitely going into my toolbox for later. And the only other thing I did differently, just like I did the clock tower, was I painted the wood textures gray, and it's kind of the opposite of what you normally think for these colors, and I think swapping these really makes it a little more realistic. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys coming back every week, and just so you know, every week now I'm going to be posting on Saturdays because my work schedule changed. So this is going to be much easier for me to be a little more consistent throughout the week. So thank you so much for bearing with me on this schedule change and with this video. I really appreciate it. All right, have a good one.